I'm Jefferson Graham, and I'd love you to join me on my search for the most photographable places on the planet.
It's historic, it's spooky.
As we go on a virtual photo walk.
And I always say, just walk. Just get on 2 feet.
As we find the best Insta-worthy photo spots.
We're in one of America's oldest cities here in Savannah, Georgia, surrounded by amazing architecture, some really wonderful homes that date back to the 1800s and 1700s, town squares, and did I mention a lot of photo opportunities. We're going to go down by the river all the way to Forsyth Park, which is home to that iconic fountain. And other great news I have for you, you don't need to go out and spend a fortune on great camera gear, because I'm using the camera that I believe you're all using, which is a smartphone. Everything I'm doing, pretty much you can do with your smartphone.
Some quick geography notes. Savannah is at the bottom of the state of Georgia. It's about a 4-hour drive from Atlanta, very close to Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, and just up the way from the Florida state line. On this Photo Walk episode, as always, I'll give you my ideas on the best photo spots and offer input from locals as well. Let's begin with Shannon from Visit Savannah.
I've done Photo Walk episodes many places, and there's always driving. You always have to, you can walk down the street, but you're going to have to get in the car. But here, it's Photo Walk with a capital P. Yeah, you just start down at the river, Bull Street, walk up, and just to explore the side streets and have a ball.
Yeah, I always tell people, we get a lot of questions if it's Savannah about what's the best way to get around, and I always say, just walk. Just get on 2 feet. You want to go as slow as possible in Savannah. The last thing you want to do is get in a vehicle. If you want to stroll, and if you're not going to stroll, you can walk faster. If you're not going to do that, maybe get on a bike. If you're not going to do that, maybe, get in a slow moving vehicle, like a trolley or something like that. And then the absolute last way that you want to see the city is from a car.
Now let's run down the greatest photo hits of Savannah.
Because I am a photographer, Forsyth Park is one of them. Jones Street, and I would probably say River Street.
Forsyth Park is home to the iconic fountain that we've been discussing, while Jones Street is where you're going to find the best collection of historic homes in Savannah. And then you've got the waterfront with all the shops, restaurants, ferries, and of course, that great view.
And then my personal favorite is Hutchinson Island. I think that it gives you a really unique perspective of River Street by being across the river.
But we're going to go there tonight to shoot the skyline. That's the best place.
Yeah, right? I like to take the ferry across the river because it's free, and it's a really nice way to kind of get on a boat and cross the river and do something a little more fun than just driving across the bridge.
Quick recap, we're going to start down at the waterfront as we head up to Forsyth Park, but do know this.
So the fun thing about this photo walk is getting off the beaten path and checking out the side streets. There's more historic homes the more you explore. I love this gas lamp over here and the whole architecture. So much to see here.
As you make your way up Bull Street, that old pink house is going to stick out on your walk because when's the last time you saw a pink Victorian? Now let's talk squares. There's 22 of them in Savannah, and while they may frustrate drivers, they do make for the most pleasant of strolls. Chippewa Square is where Forrest Gump sat on a park bench for much of the movie. The bench, however, has since been moved to a local museum, so don't bother looking for it in the square. Also missing, the iconic bird girl statue that was seen on the cover of the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil book. It's on display at the Telfair Academy Museum. It used to be at the Bonaventure Cemetery, a must-stop that's not on this walking tour, but more on the cemetery in a moment. Clary's is the classic cafe that was also seen in the Midnight movie. It still stands and has a great stained glass portrait of the bird girl statue. The homey place is worth both photographing and stopping in for a bite. Check out my brother's breakfast. He had the Oglethorpe, eggs, pancakes, biscuit, grits, and sausage. You'll want to check out the Mercer Williams house from the outside. It's a classic mansion that was also featured prominently in the Midnight book and movie. Native son Johnny Mercer, the lyricist of Moon River, Satin Doll, and many other classics, never did live here, but it was commissioned by his great-grandfather, a general in the Civil War. Alert! They won't allow photographs inside, so skip it. Now about that cemetery. It's 3 miles from downtown Savannah, so it would take you about an hour to walk there, or you could drive. Photographer alert, another one of them. They open at 8 and close at 5, on the dot. I learned this when I arrived at 5:01. I was too late to enter, but I did love what I got of the statues outside the cemetery. Now let's meet that outgoing real estate agent who makes those wacky YouTube videos all about Savannah.
Well, gosh, you'll never guess where we are. Would this be Savannah, Georgia?
This would be Savannah, Georgia.
And would you be Karin, the lady I've seen on YouTube telling everybody all about Savannah?
That is
With
true.
all those funny videos?
Alexa, Alexa on the desk. Which city in Georgia is the best?
You're going to tell us all about Savannah and maybe talk a little bit about what you think some of the most photogenic places in Savannah would be.
Okay, great.
Right, so you're going to lead the way. So
Sounds
why don't
good.
you start walking this way and I will follow you.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Karin and I started on Broughton Street, which is Savannah's main shopping and dining district.
Describe Savannah to the folks out there who've never been here.
It's historic, it's spooky, it's kind of like New Orleans, how it's got that haunted vibe to it. So they say that Savannah is the most haunted city in the US. I always thought that New Orleans would be, but apparently Savannah is even more so. See that CVS pharmacy across the street? Apparently the upstairs used to be the courthouse, and now it's the CVS pharmacy. But if you went to court because you were accused of murder and you were found guilty, they immediately marched you out of the building across the street and they hung you in that square right there.
Oh,
so
boy.
there are apparently hundreds of people buried underneath that square, and now it's a CVS.
Yeah, and so if anybody wants to hang you, but you might be a little medicine, make it not feel as bad before you go in, right?
Oh, some of these homes are amazing. They are, I think the oldest home in Savannah is around 300 years old. The majority of the houses in the historic district are at least 100 to 120 years old. They're the tall and skinny kind. They have beautiful ornate woodwork in there, like the mantle around the fireplace is to die for. The ceiling medallions around the chandeliers are great.
Yeah.
So we talked about Johnny Mercer before.
Yes.
And I was going, okay, I got to think of all of the Johnny Mercer songs that you would know. So Moon River.
Moon River, Hooray for Hollywood.
Autumn Leaves,
Is the ice
Hooray
cream
for
as great as they say? Or better?
Better.
So this place is so popular we can't even get in, right?
Well,
Well,
Yeah, there's
there's
a
no
line.
space. There's no space.
Well, you gotta open the door first.
Remind everybody what you'll be getting.
it's a toss-up between coconut and praline, but I think I'm going to have to go with praline.
I'm chocolate chewy.
Chocolate chewy is free?
Yes.
No allergies?
No allergies.
And is it like
Sugar, a single.
a single and a sugar soda?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Did you got yours?
Anything rude. Cheers!
Yeah.
Kona!
Okay, Karin, so you're running, I know, I'm a total mess here.
I'm so glad you got the cone and I got the cup.
Yeah, I'm just dripping away. The humidity has nothing to do with
Nothing
it.
to do with it at all.
But it's really great cookies and what did I get? Chocolate creamy or something?
Chocolate chippy and
Yeah,
cream.
really great. It was worth the whole drive. It was only 4 hours to get here. And it was worth it just to come to Leopold and to meet you. This is so much fun. I know you've got to run. You got to pick up the kids. You got to go back home. But we're going to keep on going. We're going to go check out
Good.
one of the historic homes.
Wonderful.
And we're going to check out your website. Remind everybody, youtube.com/
Karin Carr Real Estate.
Okay, that's the YouTube channel.
Yep.
All right. And on the web, you're?
GeorgiaCoastHomes.com.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to walk that way. You're going to
All
walk
right.
this way. So let's get a shot of us walking away, saying goodbye.
All right.
Bye, Karin.
Bye. So good to meet you. Thank you. Have a safe drive back. Bye, everybody.
Speaking of ghosts, it's big business in Savannah. Is that
I
marketing?
don't do ghosts. No, I don't do ghosts. No. I leave it up to the experts.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
ghost is not my thing.
But my dad used to own a store down here called Cobblestone Lane Antique Mall, and he said that he used to stay during nights because like he had to watch over the store sometimes during like holidays and stuff. And there was this one day that there was a bunch of picture frames and records that he used to have because it was like antique, so he's, you know, a little bit. Okay, so he had a lot of records against the wall, and all of a sudden, like even the mirrors just fell over at the same time. Like it was crazy. And he had it on video, and he showed me, and I was little, so it was just really crazy to me.
He blames it on the ghosts.
He does, because he thinks that there were ghosts there too. He gets scared too.
We promise not to spook you when we return, when we will have a rare inside look at a historic Savannah Victorian mansion and much more. We're exploring historic Savannah, Georgia today on Photo Walks, where our next stop is a visit to one of the great old Victorian mansions.
So this house was built from 1816 to 1819 for Richard Richardson, who was a merchant here in Savannah.
Visiting gives us a chance to see how the wealthy shared their quarters with their enslaved labor once upon a time. And for us photographers, we get a big bonus. They said yes to photography.
A little bit. A little closer. Lighting is really good here, right? Right? Really nice.
When the museum told us this was by far the most popular photo spot in the house, we of course had to give it a try, right? Love those columns, love those stairs. Next, we headed outside to the carriage house where the enslaved people lived. This is now a museum dedicated to documenting the experience.
Like a nice house, doesn't it?
It does, but then you have to remember you're living with anywhere from 9 to 14 people, and that you're working from sun up to sundown, hardly getting any sleep. And chances are, in this house, you're under the age of 10.
Really? Okay. I want to move right in. But as you say, there were 25 people in this room, right?
Well, up to 14.
Now, I live in California. We don't have a lot of things like this to see. Why do you think it's important for people to come visit slave quarters?
I think it's important for people to understand the history of what's occurring here, to understand the actual living conditions. It allows you to be more empathetic. It's easier to put yourself in somebody else's shoes if you have a chance to look and see.
One of the unique things about Savannah, all the bodies aren't buried under buildings, right?
Right.
That's why they call it a ghost town.
Yes.
Had you seen any ghosts here at the museum?
No.
No. Nobody's tapped you on the shoulder?
No. It's actually one of the sort of most sedate historic properties that I worked on in terms of that kind of stuff.
Beyond the history, Savannah also happens to be home to one of the great guitar makers, Benedetto Guitars. They make really fine jazz guitars. I happen to be an owner. We're going to go over and visit their factory, take a look at how they're making guitars. You might hear a little musical jam as well.
Is there hell in there? Great to see you.
Same here.
Yeah, have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back again. See what happens when people come to visit, even though it's appointment only?
That's right.
Get it in their system that they have to have one of these.
Well,
and maybe 2 and 3, right?
well, let's see what we got inside for you.
So here's a guitar all ready to go out, huh?
That's right.
Fine jazz guitars for those who want the best.
Right.
Before we get into why pay $16,000 for a guitar when Guitar Center is selling them for $100, you get a lot more for your money. You get a lot more guitar.
It's way more value than any $100 guitar you're ever going to buy at Guitar Center.
It's going to play better too.
Will deep.
And it's going to sound really good.
It will. Makes you play better.
These are all prototypes.
Or examples of instruments that are standard in every way.
Howard showed us around, taking us to the wood, the main ingredient for any guitar.
So this wood here will become a guitar?
No, that looks like it's going to become a shelf.
The good stuff was actually...
And they're all the Jordals Econ guitars.
You know, why is it so hot in here?
We humidify and heat, or dehumidify and heat the space so that the wood is always in a process of curing. The idea is for there to be no humidity in the guitar.
This is your guitar back?
That's half of a guitar back.
Half of a guitar back.
It takes 2 of those pieces to make one back. And so this stuff is cured for many years
Some wood in this room dates back to the 1990s, believe it or not.
You're kidding me.
1994, there's a 1989 behind it.
Why is it ready?
Drying. Well, it's probably ready now for the right guitar.
And once that decision is made, it leaves the hot room and the artisans start crafting the wood into works of art, carving and sanding and painting before putting them on for sale for thousands of dollars.
Shins and necks are all being built. So this is, these are our spray boots.
Here's the room where they hang the guitars after they've been painted to dry.
High-end jazz guitar manufacturer in Savannah, Georgia. Put those two together. How does that happen? Because this is not exactly the market. If you think of just Savannah, this would be not the primary market for high-end jazz guitars.
True.
Would it be?
Yeah, no, it would not be. Although we do sell a few in town, shockingly. I think you can build these instruments anywhere you can attract great builders, and the wood is not coming from anywhere locally anyway. I was living here because I was assigned here in the military, met my wife, decided to stay and settle here. And during that time period, I met Bob Benedetto, started playing his guitars, became a sort of a minor Benedetto artist of his. And then in 2006, he asked me if I would be his business partner. And my wife said, sure you will, but you're not leaving Savannah. And so that's why we're here in Savannah.
What is it about Savannah that you loved?
I love everything about this town. It has the cultural diversity and charm of a big city with a major art school, lovely museums, a pretty thriving music scene. But there are only, maybe 160,000 people. And so I know all of them. I know the mayor. I know the last 3 or 4 mayors. I know the bankers and the city councilmen and the architects and the musicians and the club owners. And so it's a small enough town to get really involved in the community, but it's got a very cosmopolitan feel. 1, 2, 3, 4.
When we come back, we've got several photo tips for you on how to get great photos of Savannah with your phone. It's photo tip time, and we're all about getting great shots of Savannah. You want to begin the trip by memorializing your time there with iconic postcard Insta-worthy images, and they're not hard to find. They're like everywhere. But the top 3 for me would be the Great Fountain, the historic buildings, and the skyline. How to best capture? Well, for the fountain, timing comes to play.
And I think being here in the morning is the best time, personally.
Yeah.
Agreed, and the reason is that the lighting over the fountain is flat and shadowless, and in the morning, she looks her best. Now, I should know, I shot the fountain in the early morning, afternoon, and evening. Which one do you prefer? I also had fun making a time-lapse video, as I always do, showing the change in the scene from early morning to later in the day on my phone. This is really easy to do by opening your camera app, swiping over to time-lapse, composing your image, and pressing record. You will need to put the phone on a tripod as well. If you have a Galaxy, do know that on the Galaxy phones, they're called hyperlapses, and they're in the More section of the camera app. Use the 0.5 lens to capture the entire fountain, and please show the splashing water. Also, make sure to zoom in on the details of the fountain for a different angle. As always, try photographing the fountain from every side. One of them is going to work out really well for you. The buildings?
Most of the shots I've done of the historic buildings have been taken on the ultra-wide lens, which is the 3rd lens on most current phones. I could not capture the entire house with the normal wide lens. And the other thing is the monuments have mostly been taken vertically. Generally, I would prefer horizontal because when you go vertical, you lose both sides of the shot, and I don't like doing that. But with a monument that goes up in the sky, there's really no other way of doing that.
Also, this is very important. Check the operating hours of the places you want to photograph when you plan your day. Getting shots of the Bonaventure Cemetery is a must with beautiful grounds and gardens, and you would think a burial ground might be open all the time. They close every night promptly at 5, and at least I got this cool magic hour shot of the statue there at 4:59. But I missed the inside. Finally, go out of your way to get the best view in town. Let me show you how.
Logic says if you want to shoot the skyline of Savannah, will you stand here and take pictures of the buildings? A way better idea, take a ferry, go to the other side of the island before it takes off, and we'll get it over there. Come on, let's go. Thank you.
Yeah, you are.
Pretty nice city view over here. It was easy to get to. The ferry was free. We didn't have to worry about parking. I'm going to wait about 10 minutes for the buildings to turn their lights on. I think that's when it's going to be a really nice shot. But the key is getting out, walking around. You never know what you're going to see. This was an easy way to capture the skyline. We're closing off today's photo walk from Savannah. I'm thanking everybody for watching. Love Savannah. Can't wait to get back. It's a really special city, unlike many that I've been to before. It's one of the great cities of the world, like Paris and New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So I hope that you want to come visit. I hope I've helped you find some great photo spots, and I'll see you on the next photo walk. Bye-bye, everybody.